All right, bro. Let's go ahead and get into it. I know it's almost been 24 hours since the game, and I actually took the time and gathered my thoughts and how I feel about the both team situations. And let's go ahead and get into it because the 49ers this season, this was basically their revenge tour. Like they was like nonstop. They had a little short blimp where they was on like a 3-game losing streak, and those were really the only 3 games they lost all season. And that was against the Browns, Vikings, and somebody else. I can't remember the team, but it was definitely like, whoa, what's going on here? But that was also around the time Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel missed time, so that's why they probably most likely was on that 3-game losing streak. But this is like a revenge tour. Because they feel like if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, they feel like they was gonna be in the Super Bowl last year. And then they remembered, and guess what? They was like they beat all the top teams that had a chance to contend for a title. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Eagles. They got their revenge on the Eagles. Like they was literally the best team in their conference by far, and you could probably argue the best team in the NFL. That's how much they was riding that wave. Now they did like lose to the Ravens, but that was like a hard fought battle though. Towards the end, because during the beginning of the game, it looked like it was like getting ugly. But it looked like the 49ers tried to, well, not look like, I watched the game. They tried to make it competitive, but it was just too much. But yeah, and they got through the regular season. Then they got to the playoffs where they had some stumbles here and there. Like for example, against the Packers. Now the Packers had them on a roll for a short period of time. Then the 49ers turned on that switch and got it rolling. Then against the Lions in the NFC Championship game, the switch wasn't turned on yet, and guess what? They turned it on big time against the Lions because the Lions had no answer for the 49ers in the second half. No answer. And that's why they was in the Super Bowl. Now for the Chiefs, now this was like a retool year for them. Well, retool year, 2 years straight. Because after Tyreek Hill got traded to the Dolphins, they decided to try working the receiving core internally. They didn't try to make a splash move, which they probably gonna need this year because this receiving core is not gonna stay the same next year. I tell you that much. But yeah, this is like an eye-opening experience for how and why Patrick Mahomes GOAT conversation is just getting stronger and stronger year in year out. So after they trade Tyreek Hill, they got Juju Smith, they got MVS, they got Scott Moore in the draft, Kadarius Toney they traded for midseason. They still have Travis Kelce. They still got Justin Ross who could beat you over the top anytime. But guess what? They got through the Jaguars. They got through the Bengals. They made it to the Super Bowl. When they encountered the Eagles, they beat the Eagles in a hard-fought game. They were going to the next year. They decided to not do any improvements on the receiving core. DeAndre Hopkins was available. So Patrick Mahomes was even liking tweets, signaling that he would enjoy a partnership with DeAndre Hopkins. And guess what? They didn't want to bring out the checkbooks for DeAndre Hopkins, so that's why they was left with the receiving core because they feel like this receiving core is going to make internal improvements. And then you have the Chiefs fans after training camp or during training camp saying, "Oh, okay, this is going to be the most well-rounded group Patrick Mahomes has had in his career." That was like take the age like milk, dog. That was like I would like, for example, me. I did not say that. I was not saying that receiving core was like gonna be some type of special unit at all. And I feel like the general public felt the same as well. But the teachers held down help for some type of magical run for that receiving group. It just wasn't happening whatsoever. Now, the main man that was supposed to be a wide receiver one, Kadarius Toney, yeah, he didn't do good all this season. All the stuff he was talking about the Giants fans, this and that, he came out pathetic this season, and he finished pathetic this season. Drops left and right, line up all sides. Like, how you line up all sides in the clutch? That is wild. Then you had MVS. He dropping key touchdown passes and stuff like that. He can't get too much separation on routes. Then you had Justin Watson, who was like a surprise because he actually like a burner. Like he's one of those sleepers that if you like don't pay attention to him, he can easily score a touchdown himself. And I believe his yards per reception is pretty up there. I have to look that up, but I feel like it was pretty up there. Every time I saw him, he catch a deep pass. That's how much I paid attention to him, especially. And Scott Moore, dog, I guess they wanted to draft him to be this Julian Edelman type, and it didn't work out at all. It's just not working out. And if he can't pop off with Patrick Mahomes as his QB, I don't know where his future is headed in this league. Because if you can't pop off with Patrick Mahomes as your QB, I don't know. I truly don't know where else he could pop off. Now, I'm not saying his career is done. I'm just saying, like, what team would be willing to pick him up? I don't know. That's pretty crazy. They really drafted him over dog in Pittsburgh. I forgot his name. Pickens. That's his name. They really drafted Scott Moore over Pickens. Just remember that. So yeah. Then they went through regular season. Had they very ups, very downs. Like folks was like getting into scuffles and stuff like that. Defensive players getting into scuffles. You see Patrick Mahomes yelling on the sidelines. I remember after the kid Darius Tony lined up all sides, you could tell he was visibly upset, but he didn't want to really show it. So he just went at the officials most of the time. And then like the game versus the Patriots, where he said it just went through his hands. You can read it, it went through his hands. His like tolerance level was fed up. So that's why Kadarius Toney, he had that little hip injury or something like that. They just said, forget this. Your season is done. We don't want you back on the field no more. Then, playoffs happened. They got through, the Bills. They got through the Ravens. And I'm trying to see who they played the first time. Was it because the Bills played the Steelers. Who did the Chiefs? The Dolphins. That's who they played. So Patrick Mahomes, this playoff run, got through one of the best one of the best offenses in the league. With Tua Tagovailoa, was leading the league in pass yards, I believe. Josh Allen, he struggled early on, him and the Bills, and they found they grew later on. I thought they was gonna beat the Chiefs. All wrong, because eventually we saw what won them the game, and that was the Chiefs' run game. And the Chiefs' run game definitely propelled them over the Bills, because you already know the Bills' run defense has been kind of shaky all year. So that's that. Then they got past the Ravens, and the Ravens should easily won this game if they had better offense. But that's more of a testament of this great defense they had, like Snead, McDuffie, Justin Reed, Chris Jones, or Karlaftis. They had, I always forget this dude's name, but he tore his ACL in the playoffs. But he was special. Then they had the rookie who stepped in. I feel like they drafted him last year, I believe. No, well, listen, last year or this year, I think either one of these years, he came in for the place of that dude and got clutch run stop in the Super Bowl this year. But yeah, this defense was legit. This is the best defense in the Patrick Mahomes era, and I feel like if they can keep at least Chris Jones on this roster, this team would not miss a beat whatsoever. It would not miss a beat. Then, they go into the Super Bowl, and we saw the defense shine again. Trey McDuffie, he put Deebo Samuel in a cell, dog. Deebo could not separate whatsoever. Now, he did have a hamstring injury, but even before then, he was not getting no separation on anybody. Brandon Ayuk, he had trouble getting separation on folks. Really, the person that was getting the most separation out of everybody was Jawan Jennings. And that should tell you a lot of how the job of Snead and McDuffie did. It was crazy. The dude that came from Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, I feel like this is his second Super Bowl ring, because he won with the Buccaneers when he was like a spot. He really didn't have as many snaps. He didn't have as many snaps on the Buccaneers team. I feel he had more snaps this year, because I feel like he was a starting, was it strong or free safety? I forgot. And sometimes he played nickel. But yeah, both of these teams is like, for the Chiefs whatsoever, I feel like this is like a great outcome that could possibly be, because no one expected them to go to the Super Bowl with this type of roster. Not only did they make it, they won the Super Bowl. For the 49ers, I felt like this was the year. This had to have been the year for them. But you can see the cracks here and there, and you can tell it wasn't gonna be that year whatsoever. And it just begs the question, is they run over? Because losing 2 Super Bowls within a 4-year span and 3 in the last century, um, I don't, I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. Like losing 3 Super Bowls in this last century is pretty crazy, because remember they lost against the Ravens, they lost against the Chiefs, they lost against the Chiefs again. So what's next? I truly want to know what's next, because they got a bunch of free agents that they're gonna have to re-sign. I know Chase Young is gonna be out there. Brandon Ayuk. Let me see. It's a couple folks that I can't name, but those are the top 2 that I can remember that's going to be available. I feel like they're going to let Chase Young and Brandon Ayuk walk, because they have so much. Like things to worry about, because there's a bunch of free agents. And for the Chiefs, they got a bunch of free agents too. Chris Jones, they got Jerry Sneed. I know MVS gonna be a free agent. I think who else? I can't think of it. The offensive linemen, a couple offensive linemen they picked up over the auction, they gonna be free agents. It's gonna be a very interesting summer for both of these teams. But it's pretty crazy that these teams let the Chiefs win another retool year, dog. I can only imagine how Patrick Mahomes gonna look like a #1 wide receiver again, bro. The league is asking for it. But yeah, that's all I got for today's video. I just want to go over both of these teams, how the journey they went through, what the offseason gonna look like, and then let me see. Is there anything else I want to talk about? I feel like I covered mostly everything, because CMC, he's an All-Pro. He won Offensive Player of the Year. Patrick Mahomes, he really didn't get no All-Pro or MVP love this season, because his stats was like very down, and I already went over why. I'm trying to see. I don't think Travis Kelce made All-Pro team either. Really, yeah, really, most of the All-Pros was really on the 49 side of things, and like I said, they pieces getting older and older, and bro, we don't know, like anything can happen in this league, dog. So that's why, like, make it to the Super Bowl, yeah, that's a great accomplishment, but you